You're listening to Female Founders with Claire Bartlett, the podcast that tells you what it is really like to be a female founder in today's world. We share invaluable insights through personal journeys and real-life business experiences, highlighting the highs and the lows so you can move forward in your business with ease. I am passionate to share with you the realities of business and give you the strategies and simple steps you need to truly succeed with your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Xero Accounting Software, a champion of female entrepreneurs and a proud sponsor of the Female Founders podcast. Managing your business finances can feel overwhelming, but Xero simplifies it all and gives you the power to keep your books in order and your mind on growth. Xero have offered an amazing 50% discount off your first 3 months with them to all our listeners. So if you'd like to take advantage of this amazing deal, then follow the link in the show notes today. But for now, let's jump into this week's episode. Welcome to Female Founders Talk Show. Today we welcome Natasha Leigh Bray, a trailblazer in the realm of personal transformation and business success. Her personal journey of overcoming childhood trauma and abuse has fueled her passion for helping others heal and thrive. Natasha, welcome to Female Founders.
Thank you, Claire. That's a lovely introduction.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah, really excited to be here and to share hopefully some inspiring stories and takeaways for your audience.
Well, I know a bit about your journey and I'm sure there'll be some value there for the audience. The first question that I want to sort of go with today, and I think it's a really nice place to start, is there a pivotal moment or person that you can, looking back, that you can think that's what put you on the path to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually been in business now since 2014, but there was a key stage. I know it's my 10-year anniversary soon. Actually, I've been an entrepreneur.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I think for me, the most pivotal moment and person, they both combine into one actually, was actually having my first son, Jensen, back in 2016 now. So I was already a couple of years into the entrepreneur journey when I had Jensen, and becoming a parent feels like an initiation in itself, but you start to see the world differently when you're looking at the world through the eyes of a parent, and it actually led to quite a crisis for me because I had postnatal depression. I had quite a traumatic birth, but also an awakening in the sense of just really wanting to create a very different life for my child than the life I had growing up. So it wasn't just about me. It had to become about him too. And that gave me the courage and the motivation to do lots of things that really led to the success I have and the impact that I have today.
I love that, because you're so right in that children change everything really in your life. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually suffered with childhood abuse and trauma as well for a long period of my childhood. So when I had my daughter, that was the first year. Well, the year later is when I started my entrepreneurial journey. And it is all about creating the security and the life that I never had. I don't want her to ever feel, and I'm sure you're the same, ever have to worry anything like what we went through when we were children. So it sort of lights that fire, I suppose, doesn't it, to
Absolutely
create that security.
I'm sorry to hear that you also had a lot of difficulties, but I resonate with a lot with what you're saying there. Safety is hugely important to me, safety and security, and that's important to you too, and probably because that's something that we didn't have as children.
Yeah. And did you go into business straight away doing what you're doing now, or have you been on a journey?
Yes, a journey. Yeah, the first business I had was very different to what I do now. So my first business actually a home-based food company. So I handmade foods that were dairy, gluten, sugar free, and just posted it
Okay.
out all over the UK. I know. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I didn't actually know.
That's where it
How
began.
amazing. And how did you transition them from, so was that sort of a like a healthy lifestyle business already, and then you've transitioned
Yes.
to
So
helping the mind as well as the body?
yeah, and actually, I went on to do further study to help women with the psychological side of food issues. It was a journey that had been part of my own journey
Okay.
as well. I actually, due to my childhood trauma, I had a lot of addictions. So food addiction, exercise addiction, work addiction, which I'm sure a lot of people can. And
Yeah.
on that personal journey that I was on, found a passion for helping other women with food and sugar addiction, especially. And so I went to train
Right.
in hypnotherapy to help women with the psychological side of food issues and body issues.
Mhm.
And by complete surprise, actually going on that journey meant myself also doing further healing relating to the hypnotherapy courses that I was training in. And I had been trying to reach a 5K month in my business for ages at that point in my journey, and nothing I did strategy wise was working. I just could not break through to that goalpost of a
Mhm.
5K month. And then I started to do this deeper healing on myself. And as a side effect of going to train and experience what I would refer to as subconscious healing, and as a side effect of that, my business started to grow really rapidly, not from doing anything differently, but because I was being different. My energy was different. I'd healed the
Mm.
things that were making me feel not good enough or not worthy of success. And that's when my business actually
Yeah.
really started to skyrocket. And people that I knew, women entrepreneurs I knew, they saw my business grow really fast. It really just skyrocketed. Within a few months, I was at 10K months and 20K months. It was really, really fast.
Wow.
And they were like, "What have you done?" Because we want some of it. So all these women that I knew that I'd
Yeah.
met with that had businesses, they were like, "What have you done? We want some." And I was like, "Well, look, maybe I can use this for helping women with business success." And that is where this
Mhm.
began then.
Amazing, because this is the thing I think a lot of people either don't want to believe or don't realize, but most of the things that hold us back for our success is ourselves. And it's the subconscious, the way that we talk about things in our own mind. Well, we can't do that, or I don't deserve that, or all of these things that we say to ourselves subconsciously all day, every day, and they can really hold you back. And I know through the journey that 10 years I've been in business, and I've really had to work on myself. And I thought I was in a good place when I started the business, but actually there was still a lot of underlying things. And I think there are for everybody. And I think no matter how healed you think you are, there will always be more work to do because there's new things that happen through your life. So
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen that, at every new level that you grow to, new layers unveil themselves that you would never have been able to see or been ready for before. And
yeah,
I really believe that the business journey is the biggest healing journey you can ever go on because it brings all of your stuff to the surface. And if you don't
yeah.
work, on it, you can't progress.
It's definitely a baptism of fire, isn't it?
That's a good name for it.
Yeah. So talking about this rapid growth that you were going through, there must have been challenges that came with that. If you were doing under 5K months and then suddenly that was like doubled or tripled, how did you manage that? What were the challenges that you went through in that growth, and what did you learn from those experiences?
Well, I think initially it was actually quite manageable because it was a different type of work. The work I was doing before was very time consuming, hands making everything, posting it, marketing. It was very time consuming,
Yeah.
less profit. So initially it wasn't too bad. But then when I think within 9 months of starting that journey, I ended up having my first six-figure month. That's when everything started to crumble and crash down around me. And it's
Mm.
again, one of those pivotal moments or like a wake-up call that I was sacrificing a lot for that success. And I realized
Yeah.
my health was being affected. I was working way too much. And I wasn't having the time for my health or with my family that I really initially went into business for, thinking that
Mhm.
I can have my own business, be there, be a present and available mum for my child and get well again and healthy again. And I realized that I got almost like got stuck in this trap of creating success in a way that wasn't really success because it was coming at a sacrifice to everything else.
Such a cost.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was, I call it like, well, I would say like the breakdown before the breakthrough because I realized,
I love that.
yeah, I didn't want to. That wasn't actually success, and I would say I've had
Mhm.
that same thing, not the same situation, but the same pattern has come up at separate points as well. Like it seems to come up every couple of years, almost where you're out of alignment with yourself and why you really came into
Yeah.
business, sacrificing things. And I believe in short term sacrifice for long term gain, but not at the cost of your health and your relationships, because there's no point having all that
Yeah.
financial success and nobody to share that with and enjoy that with. So
Yeah. You
yeah,
have to keep that balance, don't you?
yeah, absolutely. And it definitely, there have been times when it has got out of balance.
Mm. And I think when you start I mean, I was the same to an extent. When you start feeling success for yourself, your own business and it's starting to do really well, you can kind of get a bit blindsided by the success and you just want more and more of that success and you lose sight of the purpose in the first place of going into self-employment, which for so many of us, mine was the same as you. I wanted that balance. I wanted to be available, be able to do the school runs, not put my daughter into nursery so much, in those early days and things. And I think it is easy to lose sight of that. And you have to keep checking in with yourself that you're still on track for what your goals were. And I say a lot of the time, monetary goals, people always put a monetary figure on success. And I think, money does not bring success. It's the lifestyle that you want to create. So that's what
Yeah.
I try and explain. And it sounds the same for you. Six-figure month sounds incredible to anybody would want that. But the sacrifices you were having to go through to achieve that, it wasn't success for you. It wasn't worth it.
Well, I also realized that there was still a lot I had to work on, and that drive,
Mm,
constantly sacrifice everything in order to achieve more and more and more, was actually coming from a very wounded place, and I had to really work on
yeah.
what I call the success saboteurs, but really it's your worthiness, your ability to stop overgiving and stop sacrificing yourself for everyone else, and I had to work through a lot of that stuff to be able to start to put me, my health, and my family first. And it gave me the opportunity to find a new way and a better way. And I actually went
Mm,
backwards in my business for a little while, until I found a way of creating that level of success in alignment with what I wanted in my family life as well.
amazing. And that's what you now help your clients to achieve, get the success that they dream of, but without the cost to themselves or their
Yeah,
their families.
yeah, I
That
like to
must be
see it
so
more.
rewarding.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, and it's more about. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but showing people that they do get to have it all, but you
Mm,
don't when it's coming from a very wounded place. And a lot of my clients, they tend to have a very strong hustler saboteur. I call them the success saboteurs, where their
mhm.
work comes from their external achievements, and it's led to them achieving lots of things in their lives, but at the cost to other things. So I really, I really aim to give my clients a holistic success where they get to up level and achieve financially, but also um, really improve their relationships with family and partners. and
And
just
with themselves, I
yeah,
suspect.
yeah, and a life true to what they really want.
Mm, I love that. So we've spoken about, I suppose you potentially would put that six-figure month into this category, but going through your journey, has there been especially one particular failure, something that you've tried that really hasn't worked, and but instead of sort of powering through, you've managed to accept that and learn some lessons and move forward?
Mm, yeah, that was a time, and, things moved on quite significantly, but, we've had up to 500K months in the business, since then.
Mhm.
And I think probably the biggest challenge through that whole journey, as the business has got bigger, is team. Running a team, managing a team, employing people, because I
Yeah.
think most of us never really came into business to have a team, not as solopreneurs or people with personal
Mhm.
brands. So I feel like there was definitely that was a bit of a shock to the system, and there's probably been my biggest challenge and failure. I've hired the wrong people. I've kept people in
Mm.
positions that perhaps were not right for them. And I've learned a lot of lessons around team and hiring. I also learned I didn't want a business with a big team. And, it's almost like you should have a team. You should employ lots of people because that's the next step
Yeah.
expected of you as your business is growing into the seven-figure, multi-seven-figure level. And I actually again realized this is not my version of success. All of my time, I
Mhm.
I had a team of 11 at one point, which is not big to big companies, but
Wow.
to somebody
That's
who never expected that
yeah.
to happen, I found a lot of
It's a
my
lot of people to manage.
yeah, and I found a lot of my time was taken away from what I really loved, which is helping people and impacting people with my
Yeah.
work, to dealing with team and managing team. And I've actually halved the size of my team. And that was the point where I thought, oh, like I felt like I'd created a monster, this business that actually wasn't really what I wanted it to be. And
Yeah.
made the decision to make my team smaller. And there's five now, and it's much more manageable. It's more what I expected, in terms of I get enough time to focus on what I love doing, and that's more saving and creating impact
Mm.
with clients rather than building and managing a team.
So how did you manage though from 11 members of staff going down to 5? Obviously, that's a huge cut in resources in your business, but your business is still growing and achieving. So how did you manage that change?
Yeah. I think a lot of it was, I I think a lot of it was perhaps going about it the wrong way, really. And these are mistakes that I made, thinking, oh,
Mhm.
more people, when actually I just needed more systems and more streamlining
Yeah.
and better ways of doing things. They say what got you to a certain level is not going to get you to the next level. But I just was so busy, and we had such rapid growth for a very long period of time, that it was just easy to think, hire another person, more people will help.
Yeah.
And actually learned the lesson there that more people didn't help. Too many cooks spoil the broth. That very much
Actually
was,
made it yeah.
yeah. And actually, I think there was a little bit of an ego hit as well, where I had
Mm.
to realize that, um, at one point I thought I wanted an eight-figure business, and then I really had to sit with myself and be like, is that just because that's the next stage? Or is it because that's
Yeah.
what you really want? And I realized it wasn't what I really wanted. And it was just because I thought that was what was expected of me. Keep growing your team, keep growing to the next level. And actually, I didn't
Mhm.
want to do that. So, what I've been
Mm.
doing is trying to streamline and um, find a better way of doing things, a more efficient and effective way of doing things with less people in the team.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of the time people are, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they've used the same software or the same process since the beginning of their business, and they don't change it as the business progresses, but the business will have different needs as it
Mm.
grows. And like you say, so often we just throw more staff at a situation thinking that's the solution, but actually they just bring more headaches and more stress to the business. Whereas if you just spent time looking at those processes and systems you have in place, you can probably continue for another, however many sales with the same amount of team. So I think that's really interesting, and it's it's a hard lesson to learn the hard way if you go down the staff route first. So hopefully people can learn from our mistakes, because I did exactly the same with my business as well. Grew the team, and realised that actually that wasn't the solution, and I needed to look internally in the systems that we used.
I think
So,
there's a lot of psychological stuff behind that as well, though. And I had to really
mm,
work on being a good leader. That's something that I had to work on quite a lot on the journey, and that meant being a good leader to my team as well. Where initially, I was quite a lone wolf. I don't know if you resonate with this. Quite linked to
mm,
trauma and having been bullied, and every career that I had before my business, I was always a lone worker in my careers. So it was really quite alien to me to have a team and
yeah,
even lead a team. And I think a lot of that is also linked to trust issues that we can have from our childhood stuff and our experiences that we've had as well. So I had to do a lot of work
mm.
around trust and being able to a lot of the time trust in myself and not keep giving my power away when it came to hiring and team and decisions that needed to be made in the business.
I think that's really interesting, and I've actually never made that connection about trust and having to learn to trust your team. I've not really ever thought about it like that, but I think there's a term which I love, which is becoming an accidental manager or leader.
Yeah.
And when I went into the business, I had never been a manager previous in my career. I had no experience in it, so it's such a learning curve, and there is a skill to being a good manager and leader. Um, and I think, again, quite often people don't think about that, and they just get the team and they don't do any internal work to make sure that they can actually manage that team. And it is really challenging when you have so many people with different personalities, different skills and weaknesses, and balancing it all. So yeah, but I feel like some of the things you're saying are really resonating with me, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, no, that's true. Actually, I should look at that. So you're coaching me in this already, Natasha.
Yeah. I actually have a team manager now and she's brilliant and yeah, the team I have now is amazing. But also
Mhm.
it wasn't just about hiring wrong people. It was accepting my responsibility in that, and I gave my power away a lot in areas that I wasn't confident in, such as hiring people. And
Mhm.
yeah, accepting my part in that, that actually, I, yeah, just not giving my power away in places I don't feel confident in, and always trusting your intuition with things rather than giving the decisions away to someone you believe knows better.
Yeah. So for the audience who are listening who might not really understand what that means, what do you mean when you say giving your power away to people?
Really just giving other people the power to make decisions that you should be making for your own business. But when we
Right.
feel scared of making a decision or that we're not as qualified in that area, we kind of look for people to rescue us. That's the way I would look at it. Somebody
Mhm.
who I think knows better, somebody who can take it off our hands because we're so busy trying to do everything else. It's easier to just outsource. Now you can
Yeah.
outsource a lot in business, but you should never outsource your power. And that is definitely also a big lesson that I learned, that I outsourced my power in places that I shouldn't have. And that led to a lot of complications and a lot of lessons. Business is it's a learning journey. You learn a lot on the
Yeah.
if but again, I really believe everything happens for a reason as well. And all of that knowledge of not just the strategic side and the practical side, but actually the psychology of going through that and realizing where I hadn't trusted myself, where I hadn't followed my intuition, where I had given my power away, and accepting my responsibility as how do I improve myself as a leader has helped me to now build
Mhm.
a business with stronger foundations.
Yeah. I think that's really important because so often people say, "Oh, that staff member didn't work out, it was the wrong hire." But a lot of the time it's actually, the blame can only really lie on us, whether we've recruited them for the wrong position or we haven't managed them well enough. There's so much of it that we need to answer for ourselves as the business owners and the employer. And I think so often we pass the buck and we don't look internally for the reasons first. So I think that's yeah, a lesson that we all have to learn in business, because that goes across the board in business, doesn't it? If something doesn't work, we need to look at ourselves first and figure out why, not blame whatever external resource there is.
Yeah.
So my final question to you, Natasha, is have you ever wanted to quit? Give it all up and throw it all away?
Yes. And do you know, actually, if you'd asked me, there is one very, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. When I was making barely any money, I still loved what I did. And
Yeah.
it's always given me purpose. And I always used to say, you gotta, I never feel like I work because I love what I do so much. But there was a period of time actually where a lot of things, there was a lot of team stuff that was adding up. Uh, I broke my arm. I went through a public attack online. There was like a lot of things that kind of
Yeah.
pounded on top of each other where, yeah, I really got to the point, going through all these things personally and in business, trying to hold a company of that size and go
Mhm.
all those things personally. There was a point where I was just like, this is not what I wanted to create. Like, this is not what I thought success would be. And what you said earlier
Mhm.
about having all the money and not being happy, I really felt like at one point, and and I realized my privilege as I'm saying this, I really felt like I'd created this gilded cage for myself where I had all the
Mhm.
money coming in, but I just really didn't enjoy. There was a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of trauma actually. Nobody talks about the trauma you go through in business traumas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, this is not what I wanted for myself. This is not my vision of success.
Mm.
Again, like that's come up, as I say, every couple of years. It's like things
Yeah.
out of alignment with what you wanted to create. How do you bring it back? And I really had to work on my vision again. Why am I doing this? My big why, my why that makes me cry. And it is about the more women that I get to impact with my work, the more children that are impacted. And I had to really connect back to why I'm
Yeah.
doing all of this and get honest with myself and be brutal about what's not working, and change my business in a way that helped me fall back in love with it again.
Yeah. And I think that's so true that it's easy to fall out of love with your business when you're not on the right path, and you're not aligned with it anymore. But so how did you sort of combat that? How did you get up every day and still, do the business and get through it and come out the other side of that? How did you make the decision that you weren't going to quit and you were going to continue?
Yeah. I don't think I would ever really quit, but I wanted to. I was like very, very much wanted to. So first of all,
Yeah.
it was definitely the team side of things, like really being honest about what wasn't working in terms of the team side and that.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned earlier, that battle with my ego over wanting to go to the next level of creating an eight-figure business. But then there was just something deep inside that if this is what it's like now, what's it going to be like at 8 figures? Because I definitely don't want it if it's going to be like 10 times the hassle and the drama and all of these
Yeah.
than it is now. And I know
Yeah.
again is you have to have a very different way of doing business to get to that level. But it was a bit of a wake up call. So I just got really honest about where were things not working. Where were the people that weren't the right people for the business in the team? Made my team smaller, and in some ways went back to doing business the same way I did before it grew too much. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is we tried to very much like almost like corporatize the business because it grew so big that it needed lots more structure and systems. And the way I work and the way that is quite magical actually for the way I do business is I respond to my intuition. I think of an idea,
Hmm.
I put it out there, and it's very much intuitive led business. I've never had a business strategy. And the bigger the team got, the more structure, systems, processes, all of these things that was needed, it kind of felt stifling, almost like it was this big ball and chain that was holding me down.
Yeah.
So I had to work on really letting go of the ball and chain and getting back to finding that fun aspect of business again that works
Yeah.
for me.
So you took action. You realized the pain points and what was making you feel that way, and you took action to eliminate them and
I,
bring that joy back to your day
I
to day.
absolutely, I did have a bit of a rest first, though. I realized I was burned out, burned out from everything that was.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did have a bit of. I worked maybe half as much as I would normally work for a few months, and it was really
Mm,
grateful I had a business that could support that. And then, yeah, a lot of change happened.
yeah. Amazing. So if the audience have loved what they've heard and they want to work with you, how could they do that?
You can connect with me on Facebook, Natasha Leigh Bray, or you can head to my website, natashabray.co.uk. On there, you'll find all of my healing work for women entrepreneurs, or I have my training school as well, where I teach other coaches, healers, and therapists how to do the work that I do with their clients. That's schoolofmastery.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, Natasha. There's so much in there for people to unpack, and I think there'll be a few light bulb moments for people listening. So I really, really thank you for joining me. And I just want to say thank you to our listeners as well for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, please share it with your friends because it really does mean the world to me. If you want to hear more inspirational success stories like Natasha's, then please make sure you subscribe so you're the first to know when the next episode is released. But for now, please don't forget to pop over to Facebook and join our incredible community, female founders. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I think when you're going through these dark times that me and Natasha have spoken about today, having a community around you that is been there or is going through it themselves and can understand is vital, I think, to have someone to moan at and just let the weight off your shoulders. So yeah, come over and join us on Facebook. But for now, that's it. So it's just a goodbye from us, and thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.